Dear students, in this session I am going to give few ideas about important concepts which appear in chemical kinetics chapter. All of you are familiar with certain things. For example, at your home you might have observed this one, that is the food spoilage occurs easily, or it takes minimum time during summer, but it takes more time if it is winter. So that means the food spoilage occurs faster if this one, that is temperature is more. The food spoilage occurs slowly if the temperature is less, and that is the one thing you have observed. Okay. Now you consider one important example that appears in chemistry, that is decomposition of N2O5. From this you can have some idea about the effect of temperature. For this we can consider the half-life for the decomposition of N2O5. So you consider the temperature and half-life. If the temperature is 0 degrees Celsius, it takes 10 days to decompose. That is 50% of the reactant will be converted into product in 10 days. If the temperature is 25 degrees Celsius, it takes 5 hours for the decomposition. If the temperature is 50 degrees Celsius, it takes just 12 minutes for 50% of the reactant to be converted into product. That is 50% of N2O5 is converted into the product. So from this you can have the clear idea about the effect of temperature. Okay. So that is effect of temperature on a rate of a reaction. So now you observe, as the temperature increases, the rate of decomposition also increases. If the temperature is less, the decomposition is less, that means it takes more time, and if the temperature is high, it takes less time. That means decomposition of N2O5 is the best example for this one, that is effect of temperature on rate of a reaction. Now let us study about this one, that is Arrhenius equation. Arrhenius equation, which gives the qualitative and quantitative idea about the effect of temperature on rate of a reaction. Okay. Arrhenius equation. Now you consider the Arrhenius equation. We write like this: K is equal to e to the power minus EA by RT. Okay. Here K is nothing but the rate constant, and A is the Arrhenius factor, or it is also called the pre-exponential factor, or simply frequency factor. Frequency factor. Now you consider this EA, it is called activation energy, and this is nothing but T is nothing but temperature in Kelvin scale, temperature in Kelvin scale or absolute scale, and R is the gas constant. So these are all the various terms we have in this Arrhenius equation. It gives the quantitative idea, and it is purely empirical in nature. Okay. Now, in order to understand this one, that is Arrhenius equation, which gives the effect of temperature on rate of a reaction, you must have the clear idea about the activation energy. And it is observed that if EA, activation energy, is less than rate of reaction is more. That means the speed of velocity of the reaction is more. If EA is large, activation energy is more than rate of reaction will be less. Okay. So that means EA is less means the rate is more, EA is large or more means then rate of the reaction will be less. Okay. Now let us see what is meant by activation energy. Okay. Here this activation energy concept is very important in order to understand the Arrhenius equation. So for that we use this one, that is energy profile diagram. Here we take energy along the y-axis and progress of the reaction or reaction coordinate along the x-axis, and for a reaction, that is reactant or gas product, we can plot the graph. You know that if it is a reactant, if the reaction is exothermic reaction, then we can write the graph like this. The product will have lower energy or it is more stable, reactant will be less stable and it will have higher energy. This energy difference is nothing but enthalpy of the reaction, it is delta H. This one is reactant and this one is product. Product is at lower energy, it is highly stable, and you know that enthalpy of the reaction is nothing but enthalpy of product minus enthalpy of reactant. So you are going to get negative value for delta H. So it is an exothermic reaction. Now you consider this peak. This peak corresponds to the threshold energy. I will tell later what is meant by threshold energy. So this corresponds to threshold energy. Okay. And this one is the average energy of the reactant. Okay. And this difference in energy is called activation energy, EA. That is activation energy. Now let us see what is this activation energy means. You know that if we have the reactant, it will have certain amount of energy. In order to form the product, it must possess certain minimum energy, and we call it one as threshold energy. If it possesses certain minimum energy, that is called threshold energy, then only that molecule can collide with another molecule to form the product. Okay. Here this threshold energy is the minimum energy that is required for the reactant molecule to form the product. Now we consider the reactant molecules. Generally the reactant molecules energy will be less than this threshold energy. That is why some reactions do not occur under ordinary conditions. For example, you consider this one, that is burning of fuel, that is liquefied petroleum gas. Unless you light that one, that is unless you supply certain amount of energy to that one, then it won't burn. So if you mix LPG, that is liquefied petroleum gas, with air, no reaction, but if you light that one, immediately reaction starts. Why this happens? Because the reactants will have the minimum energy, so the energy is not equal to threshold energy. So when a certain amount of energy is given to that reactant molecule, its energy increases and it reaches the threshold energy. So the energy which is given to that molecule is called what? Activation energy. So you have to supply certain amount of energy to the reactant molecule so that it reaches the threshold energy, and then it can take part in the reaction, and when it reaches threshold energy, then we say the molecule is activated, or we call it one as activated complex or activated molecule. So once it gets certain amount of energy and reaches the threshold energy, then it can form the products easily. It can form the products easily. But if we give some more energy, extra energy, more than this threshold energy or this activation energy, then it can also lead to formation of product. So that means if the reactant molecule possesses the energy greater than or equal to threshold energy or greater than or equal to this activation energy, then that definitely produces the product. Now we consider this one, that is activation energy. So we can have the idea about the activation energy from this one, that is a simple experiment. Okay. Now we consider this one here. This one is the reactant. Reactant cannot change into product like this. We assume that reactant is here. In order to form the product, it must surmount, or it must have certain extra amount of energy, that is called activation energy. So we can give the activation energy. So if the activation energy is given to that one, it can surmount the energy barrier and it can change into the product. So now that means this is the reactant molecule. Okay. Suppose if we supply certain amount of energy and it becomes activated, once it is activated, it freely converted into the product. Okay. So now we have this one, that means the energy absorbed by the reactant molecule to reach threshold energy is called what? Activation energy. So now we can have the relation threshold energy is equal to what? Activation energy plus energy of the reactant, average energy of the reactants. That is, threshold energy is nothing but activation energy plus average energy of the reactant. That means up to here it is average energy of the reactant. We can represent that one by EAV, and from here to here it is nothing but activation energy, and if you add these two, then you will get threshold energy. Here to here it is nothing but threshold energy. So now we have threshold energy is activation energy plus average energy of the reactants. Now you observe here we use average energy of the reactant. So why we use average energy concept? That we can explain on the basis of Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution curve. So using Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution curve, it is possible to explain why we are using average energy of the reactants and why we use this concept, that is activated complex concept and activation energy. So now you consider this one, that is Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution curve. Okay. So here we can plot the kinetic energy of the molecules against this one, that is fraction of the molecules, fraction of the molecules having certain kinetic energy. We can write this one as NE by NT. We can represent like this: number of molecules having the energy E divided by total number of molecules. So we fraction of the molecules, here we have the kinetic energy of the molecules. That means, suppose if you have the reactants in a container, okay, all these molecules do not possess the same energy. The energy of N1 number of molecules may have the energy E1, N2 number of molecules may have the energy E2, N3 molecules may have the energy E3, like that. That means there will be distribution of energies. All the molecules do not possess the same kinetic energy. So now we can plot the graph. This is called Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution curve. Okay. So we can plot like this at a particular temperature. So temperature say T Kelvin. Okay. So now this peak corresponds to the most probable kinetic energy, most probable kinetic energy, because more number of molecules will possess this energy. So we call this as most probable kinetic energy. Since different molecules have different kinetic energies, okay, we define the average energy of the reactant molecules. So we can define the average energy for the reactant molecules. So that we use here actually average energy. It is not the energy of a particular molecule, it is the average energy, that is mainly kinetic energy. Okay. So now we have this. Using this Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution curve, we can have another idea about the effect, that is the effect of temperature we can have from this. Let us see how we can show that one. Suppose if the temperature is T Kelvin, then this will be the Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution curve for the reactants, and if the temperature is 10 degree more, then this will be the curve for Maxwell-Boltzmann. This one is the curve. Okay. Now it is actually shifted toward the higher kinetic energy if the temperature is increased by 10 degrees Celsius, T plus 10 Kelvin. We say this one is T Kelvin, this one is T plus 10 Kelvin. Okay. So if the temperature is increased, okay, by 10 degrees Celsius, then it widens and peak will be away from this one, and this most probable kinetic energy will be more in this case, and this point actually corresponds to the molecules having particular energy, that is threshold energy, so that these molecules, this fraction of the molecules can enter into chemical reaction. So this point corresponds to threshold energy or the activation energy, because you know that threshold energy is the minimum energy that the reactant molecules must have in order to form the products upon collision. Okay. So now we have this. So we can call this energy as threshold energy, or it may be the activation energy. So now you consider for the first curve, the area will be this much. So that means this fraction of the molecules can form the products upon collision. But for T plus 10 Kelvin, so this is the area under the curve. This is the area under the curve. You observe this, the area under the curve almost doubles or nearly doubles. That means as the temperature increases, more number of collisions occur and the kinetic energy of the molecules increases. So the most of the molecules can enter into the reaction, and that's why more products we are going to get, or in other words we can say the rate of the reaction increases. Here, since the area under the curve, so this area indicates the molecules having the energy greater than or equal to this one threshold energy. So these molecules can enter into chemical reaction. That means rate of the reaction almost doubles because of this. So using Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution curve also we can explain why as the temperature increases the product formed also increases. In other words, rate of the reaction increases. So it is observed that for every 10-degree rise in temperature, rate of the reaction almost doubles. Okay. So this is about Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution curve. And now you consider this one, Arrhenius equation. K is equal to A into e to the power minus EA by RT. Here EA is nothing but the activation energy, as discussed. Here activation energy is nothing but the threshold energy minus average energy of the reactants. Threshold energy minus average energy of the reactants. So this much is the activation energy, and A is the frequency factor. So according to Arrhenius, the reaction occurs because of the collision between the molecules. So this generally represents collision frequency, and this term, that is e to the power minus EA by RT, actually represents the molecules having energy greater than or equal to threshold energy or activation energy. That means this portion, or this e to the power minus EA by RT, represents the molecules having, reactant molecules having energy greater than activation energy or equal to activation energy, so that they can form the products upon collision. So that is about this Arrhenius equation. So another useful form of this Arrhenius equation is the log form. Okay. We consider the Arrhenius equation. We can take the natural log on both sides. So if we take the natural log on both sides for this equation, then we get natural log K is equal to ln A plus minus EA by RT, okay, into ln E base E. But this is nothing but 1. So you can write this one as ln K plus equal to ln A minus EA by RT. Here ln E base E is nothing but 1. So this relation is similar to y equal to mx plus c, which is the equation for straight line. So we can call this one as y equal to, this one is nothing but c, ln A is nothing but c, ln K is nothing but y, and you can write this one as minus EA by RT 1 by T. Here we can write the plus. Okay. So plus into minus, once again minus. So you can write this as this portion, minus EA by R is nothing but slope m, and 1 by T is nothing but x. So if we take the natural log on both sides, then we are going to get a relation of this type. It is similar to the straight line y equal to mx plus c. So we can plot a graph that is important for competitive examination. Okay. So we take ln K along y axis and 1 by T along x axis. Okay. Now it has the negative slope, so the graph will be like this, and this is nothing but y intercept. Y intercept is nothing but, this is nothing but c. So it is ln A. Okay, it is ln A, natural log A, and the slope for this is minus EA by R. So minus EA by R is the slope for this graph. Okay. So now we have this, graphically we can represent. So we can plot a graph like this using taking ln K along y axis, 1 by T along x axis, then y intercept will be ln A and slope will be minus EA by R. Now you consider this one, that is a log form of Arrhenius equation. Using this, it is possible to determine the activation energy. Let us see how we can determine the activation energy using this. Okay. Now we consider the natural log form of this ln K equal to ln A minus EA by RT. Okay. So now we have this log form of Arrhenius equation. If we carry out the chemical reaction at two different temperatures, say T1 and T2, so here T2 is greater than T1, then the rate constant will be K1 if the temperature is T1 and rate constant will be K2 if the temperature is T2. Okay. So we can write like this, ln K1 is equal to ln A minus EA divided by or T1. Okay. So when temperature is T1, rate constant will be K1. Okay, you can call this as equation number 1. Okay. Similarly, at temperature T2, ln K2 is equal to ln A minus EA divided by or T2. This is equation 2. Okay. So 2 minus 1 gives 2 minus 1 gives. So you can subtract equation 1 from 2. So you are going to get finally this one, log K2 by K1 is equal to EA by R into T2 minus T1 divided by T1 T2. Here natural log ln K2 by K1 equal to EA by R. Now here it is natural log, we can change this to base 10 by using the relation. You know that ln x is equal to 2.303 log x. Ln x equal to 2.303 log x. So we can write this one as log 2.303 log K2 by K1, that is equal to EA by R into T2 minus T1 divided by T1 T2, or we can write this one as log K2 by K1 is equal to EA divided by 2.303 R into T2 minus T1 divided by T1 T2. Okay, this is an important relation. So we can use this relation in order to determine the activation energy. Okay. So here when temperature is T1, rate constant will be K1 here. When temperature is T2, rate constant will be K2. Okay. So ln K2. So from this we can obtain this relation. Using this it is possible to determine the activation energy. So let us see how we can determine the activation energy if K2, K1 are given and T1 and T2 are given. Okay. Let's solve some numerical problems related to that. Okay. Consider this one, that is numerical problems. So in order to solve numerical problems, you must have the clear idea about this equation, what are the different terms that appear in this, and how to take the log for various values. Okay. So at least log 1 to log 10 you must know, that means values you must know. Okay. Log 1 to log 10 values. Okay. It is very easy. If you know log values, you can easily calculate this one. Sometimes they give the log values, sometimes they won't give the log values. So it is very, very important. You must know the log values for log 1 to log 10. So now you consider the first numerical problem based on this Arrhenius equation. Okay. They may ask like this: rate of a reaction doubles when the temperature is increased from 400 Kelvin to 410 Kelvin. Calculate activation energy. Okay. So now, they may ask like this: rate of a reaction doubles when the temperature is increased from 400 Kelvin to 410 Kelvin. Calculate activation energy. Okay. So if they give the problem like this, first you observe this: rate of the reaction doubles. Here, rate of the reaction doubles means the rate constant ratio, that is K2 by K1 is 2. So first you write the data given, then you can easily solve this. It is given, that is K2 by K1 is 2. Sometimes they may give like this: rate of the reaction triples, then K2 by K1 value will be 3. Sometimes they may ask like this: rate of the reaction quadruples, then K2 by K1 value will be 4. That means generally they ask like this. Then the temperature is given 400 Kelvin and 410 Kelvin. Remember this: higher temperature is T2 and lower temperature is T1. So you have to take 400 Kelvin as T1. So T1 is 400 Kelvin and the higher temperature is T2, that is 410 Kelvin. So T1 is 400 Kelvin, T2 is 410 Kelvin. Okay. Then you have to calculate activation energy. So sometimes they give the R values, sometimes they won't give the R values. So here R value, you know, it is 8.314 joules per Kelvin per mole. So we have this EA we have to calculate. Then what you have to do? You have to substitute the values in this relation. That is log K2 by K1, log K2 by K1, we have this relation is equal to EA by 2.303 R into T2 minus T1 divided by T1 T2. So now what is given? Log value K2 by K1 value is given. So you write log 2, that is equal to EA divided by 2.303 into R value. You have to substitute. It is 8.314. Here temperature is given in Kelvin, no problem. Suppose if they give the temperature in degree Celsius, then you have to convert that one from degree Celsius to Kelvin, then you have to substitute that. So that is an important point you must remember. Temperature should be in Kelvin only in all calculations. Okay. So now T2 minus T1, that is 410 minus 400 divided by 400 into 410. So now you substitute the values like this. So log 2 is equal to EA by 2.303 into 8.314. Substitute only the numerical values. While writing the data, use the appropriate units. Okay. Now you can rearrange this and you can calculate the activation energy. Okay. So here EA is equal to, that is activation energy is equal to log 2 value, it is 0.3010, that you have to use. Remember, you must be thorough with certain log values. Log 2, it is 0.3010. If it is log 3, it is 0.4771. If it is log 5, 0.6989. If it is log 7, it is 0.84. Okay. So it is around 0.8451. Okay. So these 4 values are very, very important. Using these 4 values, you can determine the log values for other. For example, if you want to find the log value for 4, log 4, how you determine? You can write this one as log 2 to the power 2. That means it is 2 log 2. That means log 2 value know 0.3010. So log 4 is equal to 0.3010 into 2. Okay. You can get the log value for this. Then if it is log 6, you can write that one as 6, you can write that one as 2 into 3, right? So log 2 plus log 3 value. So log 3 value you know, log 2 value you know. So you add these two, then you will get the value for log 6. Similarly, log 8, you can write this one as 2 to the power 3. So it is nothing but 3 log 2. If you know the log 2 value, you can easily calculate the log 8 value. Similarly, if it is log 9 could be written like this, 3 to the power 2. So it is 2 log 3. So log 3 value is 0.4771 into 2 gives the log 9 value like that. That means, so if you know these 4 values, you can easily get the log values for others. Okay. So now we consider this one. Here log 2 value is 0.3010. Okay. That into 2.303 into 8.314. Denominator we have 400, 410, that comes to numerator, remember. Okay. Divided by the difference between these two, that is 10. So we have this. Okay. So if you simplify this, then EA value comes out to be. Okay. So if it is this one 94517 joules per mole, that is the activation energy. So you can express this one in kilojoules. You shift that one to 3 places, 1, 2, 3. So you can write this one as 94.517 kilojoules per mole. So it will be 94.517 kilojoules per mole. So that is the final answer. So final answer must have the unit if the unit is there for that quantity. If it is a unitless quantity, no need to write that one. So here activation energy terms, it will be in joules per mole, you know that. So it is 94.517. Here you can write the unit. So that is actually the procedure you have to follow if numerical problems are given. So here sometimes they may give the temperature in degree Celsius, then you must convert that into Kelvin, remember that point. Okay. So, this is one problem. Here K2, K1 values are not given, only the ratio of that is given. Okay. You consider another problem. Okay. Problem 2. Rate constant for a reaction is 0.02 per second (0.07 per second) at temperature 500 Kelvin and 700 Kelvin respectively. Find the activation energy. Find the activation energy. So, R value, it is 8.314 joules per Kelvin per mole. Okay. So, if they give the problem like this, rate constant for a reaction is 0.02 per second and 0.07 per second at temperature 500 Kelvin and 700 Kelvin respectively. Find the activation energy. So, here K1 and K2 value is given and T1 and T2 is given. Remember this, higher temperature is nothing but T2, lower temperature is nothing but T1, and lower value is nothing but K1, higher value is nothing but K2. Okay. Now, we can easily solve this one using the same relation. Okay. So, log K2 by K1 is equal to EA by 2.303 R T2 minus T1 divided by T1 T2. Now, first you write the data given. Here K1 is 0.02 per second, K2 is 0.07 per second, and then here T1 is given, it is 500 Kelvin, it is a lower temperature, T2 700 Kelvin, and then R value, it is 8.314 joules per Kelvin per mole. What you have to determine? You have to determine activation energy. Now, you substitute the values in this relation. So, here log 0.07 divided by 0.02. Okay. That is equal to EA divided by 2.303 into R. What is the value of R? 8.314. You write that. And then temperature it is given in Kelvin. So, no problem. You can directly substitute that one. 700 minus 500 divided by 500 into 700. Now, log 0.07 divided by 0.02 is nothing but log 3.5. Log 3.5, that is equal to EA divided by 2.303 into 8.314, okay, into 200 divided by 500 into 700. So we have this. Okay. Now, what is the value of log 3.5? How we determine? So very simple. You know that log 3.5 value lies between 3 and 4. So you determine the log value for 3, log value for 4, and add that one and divide that one by 2. Okay. Log 3 value you are going to get, and log 4 value will get. Add these two values and divide that one by 2. You are going to get approximate value. So here it comes to be 0.544. 0.544, that is equal to EA by 2.303 into 8.314 into here 200 divided by 500 into 700. Then you can calculate the activation energy. Okay. EA is rearrange this. EA is equal to 0.544 into 2.303 into 8.314 into 500, 700 divided by 200. Okay. So you are going to get the final value as 18228 kilojoules per mole, joules per mole, joules per mole. If you convert this into kilojoules, then it will be 18.228 kilojoules per mole. Okay. So in this way you can easily calculate the activation energy, and this activation energy calculation is very important for board exam as well as for many competitive examinations. And this Arrhenius equation and then the log form of Arrhenius equation and this equation are all important for competitive examination. Okay. Dear students, next let us study about effect of catalyst on rate of a reaction. On rate of a reaction. You know that a catalyst is a substance which alters the rate of a reaction. It actually alters the rate of a reaction. A positive catalyst actually increases the rate of a reaction. So we consider only that positive catalyst for this. Okay. So now you consider a chemical reaction, decomposition of KClO3. It is slow, but if you use the catalyst MnO2, then it decomposes easily to form potassium chloride and oxygen. Okay. So it is 2 moles of KClO3 decomposes to form 2 moles of potassium chloride and 3 moles of oxygen. So this is accelerated by manganese dioxide. So it is the catalyst for this reaction. Now, in absence of MnO2, this reaction is a slow reaction, but in the presence of MnO2, it is a fast reaction. Let us see how this alters the rate of a reaction. For that, we can use this one, that is the profile diagram, where we take the progress of the reaction or reaction coordinate, or we represent the progress of the reaction along x-axis and energy along y-axis, and we plot a graph like this for exothermic reaction. You know that we can write like this: products will have lower energy, reactants will have higher energy, and delta H for this reaction is negative, means it is exothermic reaction. We consider exothermic reaction. Okay. Now, if catalyst is not used for particular reaction, that is R gas products, then this will be the activation energy for the reaction. This is the activation energy for uncatalyzed reaction. So this one is the uncatalyzed reaction. Suppose if we use the catalyst for this reaction, then what will happen? It will follow, the reaction will follow a different path involving minimum activation energy. Okay. It won't alter the enthalpy of the reaction or free energy of the reaction. It alters only the activation energy. It will bring down the activation energy. So this is the activation energy for catalyzed reaction, EA for catalyzed reaction. EA for catalyzed reaction. You observe here the EA for catalyzed reaction is this much. Okay. EA for uncatalyzed reaction is this much. Okay. So for catalyzed reaction we have this much. Okay. That means if catalyst is used, then the activation energy decreases. From Arrhenius concept, you know that lower the activation energy, more will be the rate of the reaction, and higher the activation energy, less will be the rate of the reaction. So now we have this. So activation energy, this one is the activation energy for the catalyzed reaction. Okay. So now how we can explain how this catalyst alters the rate of a reaction using this one, that is intermediate compound formation theory. Intermediate complex or compound formation theory. That means in this catalyzed reaction, this catalyst interact with the reactant molecules to form an intermediate which is highly unstable, which follows a different path and which requires minimum activation energy, and that intermediate complex decomposes to form the products and regenerates the catalyst. Okay. So that means this catalyst provides an alternative path for the reaction which involves minimum activation energy, thereby increasing the rate of a reaction. So that is actually we can explain on the basis of this intermediate complex formed with the catalyst. So it is highly unstable, the decomposes to form the catalyst and the product. Okay. So that is about effect of catalyst on rate of reaction. And some important point you must remember about catalyzed reactions. So it won't alter the enthalpy of a reaction. Enthalpy remains the same for this reaction, and then it won't alter the free energy change for the reaction. Okay. So suppose delta G is the free energy change, it will have a certain value. That value remains as it is. It is not changed by the catalyst. Okay. And one more point, a catalyst is required in very small amount for the reaction, because after the decomposition of intermediate, once again the catalyst is regenerated. That is why we say the catalyst is required in very small amount for the reaction. So that is about the effect of catalyst on rate of a reaction. We can represent that one using this one energy profile diagram. Okay. So, we can take one example for this one also. This one, that is a catalyzed reaction, this KClO3 in the presence of MnO2 gas, 2 KCl plus 3 O2 or any other examples. Okay. So, next let's study about another important concept in this chapter, that is collision theory of reaction rates. Collision theory of reaction rates. Okay. Last concept, collision theory of reaction rates. So, this theory was proposed by Max, Trotz and Lewis. So, these two proposed the collision theory of reaction rates. They actually used the kinetic theory of gases. They used kinetic theory of gases to explain the theory. Okay. Now, the important postulates of this theory, postulates of theory are: first one, reactant molecules collide to form the products. Reactants molecules collide. This collision leads to product. So, reactant molecules undergo collision and this collision actually leads to a product. Second point in this, all these collisions are not effective, or collision, all collision will not lead to product. All collisions will not lead to product, and they introduced the concept of collision frequency. Collision frequency, that is Z. All collisions will not lead to product. Collision frequency they introduced. Okay. Third point, collision frequency. It is represented by Z. So, collision frequency is nothing but the number of collisions per second per unit volume, the number of collisions per second per unit volume of a reaction mixture. So, collision frequency is nothing but the number of collisions per second per unit volume of a reaction mixture. So, here the reactant molecules collide. Okay. So, we have the collision frequency. So, if the reactant is a gas, then the collision frequency will be very high, of the order of 10 to the power 28 to 10 to the power 30 per second. So, this much of collision occurs in the gaseous mixture. So, if the reactant is a gas, then the number of collisions taking place per second will be around 10 to the power 28 to 10 to the power 30. Okay. So, they define the collision frequency, number of collisions is very, very important. And then the fourth point in this that is Max Stroud and Lewis theory or collision theory of reaction rate, is not all collisions are fruitful or effective. So, all collisions are not fruitful or effective. All collisions are not fruitful or effective. Only those collisions in which molecules have proper orientation and proper energy are effective. All collisions are not fruitful or effective. Only those collisions in which molecules have proper orientation and proper energy are effective in forming the products. Let us see what it means. That is proper orientation and proper energy. Okay. Proper orientation means they must collide, the reactant molecules must collide in a particular direction, then only it leads to formation of the products. And proper energy, the energy of the reacting or colliding molecules must be greater or equal to the activation energy, then only the collision leads to formation of products. Okay. So, both these determine whether the collision is effective or not. Okay. So, now let us see what is this proper orientation, what is meant by proper energy by taking an example. Okay. So, now you consider the reaction between, so proper orientation, Okay, for that we can take this as an example. You consider the reaction between the methyl bromide and the aqueous cleavage. Aqueous cleavage supplies what? Nucleophile OH minus. Okay. These two react to form the product, you know that is H methyl alcohol, okay, plus Br minus. So, methyl alcohol, methyl bromide reacts with aqueous cleavage to form methyl alcohol and bromide. Now, we consider the collision between the OH minus and this methyl bromide molecules. So, if OH minus approaches in this direction, okay, so we have this Br, here OH minus. So, it is negatively charged and this bond is polar, this carries partial negative charge, this carries partial positive charge. So, it cannot attack this carbon atom from this side because negative, that is there will be a repulsion, electrostatic force of a repulsion. So, it cannot attack from this side, this carbon atom, but it can attack this molecule from the back side or the rear side like this. It can attack this molecule from the back side. Here the repulsion is minimum. Okay. So, these are very small molecules. The interaction between the electron cloud of protons and this OH minus is less compared to interaction between OH minus and Br minus. So, it can attack the molecule from the back side. That means this orientation is the correct orientation for the formation of the product. This is not the correct orientation, this is the correct orientation for the formation of the product. That means that is called actually the proper orientation. And then proper energy. So, proper energy means if the energy of the colliding molecule is less than activation energy or less than threshold energy, it won't give the product. So, it must have the energy greater or equal to activation energy. So, that is actually called proper energy. Proper energy means the colliding molecules must have the energy greater than activation energy or equal to activation energy. Then only that leads to formation of the product. So, an effective collision is one in which the product is formed, and in that case the colliding molecules will have proper orientation and proper energy. Okay. So, now you consider all these points. From all these points we can write the rate expression. Rate is equal to, here we have used the collision frequency that appears in this equation, that is Z, and then P corresponds to proper orientation, or it is also called steric factor, and then e to the power minus Ea by RT. So, based on this collision theory, we can write the expression like this: rate is equal to the steric factor or the orientation factor, that is P, into the collision frequency, that is Z, into e to the power minus Ea by RT. So, it is somewhat similar to Arrhenius equation. So, we can get this one from the collision theory. So, remember, collision theory is actually based on what? It is based on kinetic theory of gases, and it assumes the reactant molecules as hard spheres, okay. But it ignores the electron interactions, remember. And anyhow it can explain certain properties, that is effect of temperature, effect of this one, that is the energy, effect of orientation easily in the product formation. So, that is about the collision theory of reaction rates. Okay. So, these are all the various postulates. Here the collision frequency term, that is important, the number of collisions per second per unit volume of a reaction mixture is called what? Collision frequency. That is an important thing. And then proper orientation, proper energy, that is also important. So, unless it will have a proper orientation and proper energy, the product is not formed. Okay. So, that is about the collision theory of reaction rates. Thank you.